The way that I look at fear and anxiety is it's great to have. 2 days ago, I stood on the TED stage and shared my talk to a few hundred people. You just have to think a little bit about, why am I doing this to change somebody's life? Overwhelmed is writing down 15 things on your to-do list in the morning. And that's legitimately never what I would do. It's just setting me up for failure. I don't want that. Winning is not comfortable. Business owners don't share enough about how crappy some days are. I think if you are overwhelmed and you're feeling fear, you just have to become comfortable in sharing exactly those moments. Just imagine you never did it. And then gosh, I wish I would have started.
Dr. Christiane, how do fear and anxiety show up for high-achieving entrepreneurs even when on the outside things look just great?
Yeah, beautiful question. The way that I look at fear and anxiety is it's great to have, right? It's not bad to be afraid of something, and it's not bad to feel anxious about something. The way that I coach my clients is you just need to redirect the energy into something positive. So what? Yeah, you may be afraid of getting on a stage. 2 days ago, I stood on the TED stage and shared my talk to a few hundred people. Great. So yeah, I was afraid about that. And definitely, that was not something that was natural to me. Just get out there and give a 15-minute talk. But I thought, I'm going to share my story and change somebody's life. And that changed my thinking about it. So when you are afraid of something, or maybe you are even anxious, just think, what's the worst thing that can happen? Everybody has experienced this before, but why am I doing this really? I'm getting on the stage to change somebody's life. And even if it's just one person's life. So that is what you have to think about. You're helping somebody else with it. So sometimes fear and anxiety, we're just too hard on ourselves, and we just need to don't think about ourselves, but think about the others. And then you're getting in the right mindset, right? Think about not getting on the stage. You wouldn't change that person's life. So they would be missing out. That's a pity. Get on that stage, share your voice, right?
You talk a lot about in your work about overwhelm. What does it mean, or what is it being overwhelmed? Is it even a legitimate feeling? Is it man-made? What is it feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, overwhelmed is writing down 15 things on your to-do list in the morning. And that's legitimately never what I would do. I maybe write down 15 things when I go to a grocery store, because I do need to buy groceries to feed my family. But will I accomplish 15 things that I'm actually feeling proud of at the end of the day? No, because that means I'm just sitting there all day and fasting and not getting through it. It's just setting me up for failure. I don't want that. So I may be writing 3 things. I usually stick to one hand.
Why do we do that? Is that like an uber accomplishment complex that we're having? Why do we do that? Why do we... So what I'm hearing you say is I'm setting myself up for overwhelm.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think so. There are all these moving elements. At the end of the day, though, and I frequently tell my children too, is that really something that matters right now? Will this be something I care about in 5 years? And if the answer is no, then I go, okay, maybe I shouldn't even worry about it right now.
I kind of like that is the question, the litmus test question. This is even going to be relevant in 5 years, because sometimes I think as business owners, we put other people's well-being over our own and our family's needs, and we don't even know them. It's an email that needed to go out, or a piece of content that was published that's going to be seen or not seen by somebody. I have no idea who that is. And for that, I didn't do something that would have created an impact in my family. Is there a psychological or a mental thing that we need to look into to help people kind of get that straightened out in their head on why they do it and what they can do instead?
Well, I think it's sometimes like the pure fear of missing out, right? That you feel like not writing the email, that others didn't see you, or just like by not posting on social media or whatever, that you felt you're missing out on not being visible. I can honestly tell you, if you're not posting on social media for a week, sorry to say this, most people might not even notice.
or nobody cares.
Maybe it's 3 people that really care about you, but all the others, they're so busy looking at all these other accounts. I always love it when people are like, I'm taking a social media break. And I know that they do it just to let us know we can do that too. So of course, but otherwise it's like, go for it. Just do it. You don't even need to tell me you're doing it. Just do it.
It is really true. So you specialize in helping people get out of overwhelm by giving them simple processes. Talk to us a little bit about what is the framework that you're using and how does it help our audience?
Yes, I use a 4-step process that's actually called STEP, right? So you'll be taking small steps that lead to big impact. And because I'm from Europe, you hear that in my accent, I actually call the steps individual. Steps are called Petite Practices, so small little practices. And it's practice, it's not perfection, it's really important. If you feel that you have this big goal, whether that's speaking on a keynote or TEDx or writing the next book, you have to simplify. All right, so let's take your big thing, break it down into these small steps. And it could even be you're writing it down on little sticky notes. And then you're shuffling up the sticky notes and you're choosing the one that you want to get started with. You choose one and then you have to get started, right? But at least it's not that big anymore. And you could even make it very dramatic, like take one big piece of paper, write it on there, and then cut it up into little notes, whatever that is. If you're a visual learner, that might just work for you. And then you have to tell others about it. And that's the tough part. So others think you're really not doing anything because you honestly never talk about what you do. And it doesn't mean like, well, let me tell you about my day in detail. Not like that, but more like, I always wanted to, write a book. Others will be like, I didn't even know that. And then you're like, yes, I did. And then it leads to the conversation. And then people will come back and like, how's the book writing going? You're like, well, let me tell you about it. So that's the S, simplify, the T, tell. And then you have to examine. The E is to examine, like think in your 3rd step a little bit, like what are you doing that works? Are you writing your book by writing 2 pages a day? Are you writing your book by maybe doing audio notes when you go for walks? What are you doing? What's moving the needle? And then lastly, you have to praise progress. It could be that you're writing 2 pages a day and then you celebrate each day. Wow, I wrote 2 pages. Or it could be that I'm speaking at a writers' conference next month about my books. That's a great thing to celebrate. So I'm speaking at a writers' conference. Yay. And so it's like, you have to think a little bit like small steps, big impact, and not everything has to be glamorous and amazing, but you have to think that the most important thing is just you're moving the needle, and it does not have to be these 15 things on your to-do list. It could just be 3 small things.
Mm-hmm. What was your trigger moment? What was the moment when you sat down and you said, I see a problem and I must do something about that?
I'm very much a woman of multiple hats, right? So when I introduce myself, I'm like, I'm a business and wellness coach. I'm a professor. I'm an author. I'm a podcaster. I'm also a TED speaker. I'm also a fitness instructor. And then people are like, how do you do that? And I was like, well, it's really not magic. I mean, you could do that too, any of those things. It's just that I do literally just a little bit of everything. I don't really doubt myself in doing it. I just do it. Just publish a book, right? Don't need to be the next Harry Potter, but I just publish it, And so I think that my secret sauce really came from the fact that I actually listened to what people asked me. And I didn't just talk, but I started listening to what their problems are and what they wanted to know. And then I just reformulated that into my unique value proposition. I think you just have to do a better job in listening first and then talking.
That is the truth. Most people don't know how to do that because they love to hear themselves talk all the time. So did you know this wasn't a problem, that people actually wanting to do all these things, because it's almost contradictory to everything else we hear, because they always say get rich in the niche or the niche, however you want to pronounce it. And you basically saying the opposite. You say, well, whatever drives you, whether that's speaking or writing or even fitness, whatever makes you happy, do it. And I'm going to give you the framework to do that. Is it not contradictory to what's being said in the market?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that for me, when I put my calendar together, I use it a little bit like a bouquet of flowers, right? So my flower bouquet is really varied in the color and in the type of the job that I do, right? So it's all there, but each one of them really sparks joy. And if I ever feel there's something in there that doesn't work for me, I just take it out. I'm like, you know what, that didn't work. So I examine it and I take it out. That is what helps me balance my business and my wellness. Because if I were to only do one thing, I would feel I'm becoming too much focused on the successes and the failures in that one thing. And right now, I can celebrate successes from another area of my life. It's nearly like you are at this beautiful buffet, and it has all these beautiful little elements from all over the world, all these little tasters that you can try. And so I tried them, and then I'm like, I like this, and then I put them on my plate. But it doesn't mean that they always have to remain on my plate. I also switch them out. So I think if you have multiple jobs, it keeps you more agile and flexible instead of saying, I'm just in this one thing right here. And then if you switch, you're like, well, now I have all my business and I'm kind of locked in here. So it's really hard to get out of it. And it's like traveling through Europe, all the different languages, all the different cultures, where I'm feeling like I want to be more attuned to trying different tasks and figuring out which ones work for me.
I like that a lot. I like this journey of your business journey or your life and business journey to compare to a trip, because doesn't make the trip to Europe even better if you're not just in Italy or in Paris, but if you saw Italy and Paris and France maybe, or Portugal. So I feel the same way. I do believe that we go through reiterations. I can stand being boxed in to a particular niche and then having to do that, because I think life is a series of transformations that we are going through. And as we're going through these transformations, we get a different skill set. And then when we have this different skill set, wouldn't we want to tell other people about how to master that, just in case they might want the same as we do, right? So I think it's a beautiful, beautiful way this works. So how does this application of your step system, of your Petite Practice, how does that now change someone's trajectory, satisfaction, happiness? What happens to someone who simplifies and examines and then takes the different steps to execute? What's the outcome?
That they actually get started on their goals before some invisible deadline you set yourself. I think the majority of people that I talk to are like, yeah, eventually I'm going to write a book. And then I sometimes challenge them and I'm like, when? Like,
when is eventually? Yes.
It's like someday. Well, that's not even on the calendar, you know? So then I ask them, they're like, well, when the kids leave the house, when I retire, blah, 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 blah. And there's like the future deadline is always very convenient and comfortable because you don't want to become uncomfortable today. So I always say, if you make a plan, and you, again, those sticky notes, pick one and start today before you change your mind. Just start. If you want to run a marathon, you always wanted to run a marathon, go to the store and buy some shoes today. Step one, shoes, right? Good. Step one done. And so for me, I think the main thing is just that the step system actually gets the wheels going, and it makes you more aware that life is finite. And that this moment of I'm going to start doing this thing in the future might never happen. And you don't want to look back and think, gosh, I just wish I would have gotten ready to run the marathon. And now I can't anymore. What a big bummer, right? I mean, that's really something that would be so sad. And this is really important too. What I see with a lot of my clients, let's just say podcast. They're like, oh, I always want to start a podcast. And I'm like, help them get ready. And then all of a sudden they're like, you know what, Christiane? I actually don't like it. It's like, how amazing is that? That is a celebration right now. Because just imagine you never did it. And then like, gosh, I wish I would have started a podcast. But doing it and figuring out it's not great, that's wonderful. Because at least you figure it out. It's not great.
I always say that our job is to get people to an intersection. There's only a left and a right and a 7-Eleven. So you can either be in the 7-Eleven, eat hot dogs and Slurpees, or you make a left or you make a right. There is literally no other option. I'm like you. When somebody adamantly recognizes that they don't want something, that's as much as a celebration as we help them to figure out what it is that they do want, because that is, I think, the paralysis a lot of people experiencing. So I want to talk about that a little bit. A lot of people say, I want to get out of overwhelm. I want to get stuff done. I want to be more productive. I want to get out of fear, but they're stuck year after year after year. How do we help them get out of that?
Well, first things first is obviously what you're doing right now is not really working. And I think that's the first thing, is to step away from it and try something different. So I tried that. I signed up with this coach. I bought this book. I got a treadmill, blah, 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 And so it's like, did you actually use it? Did you actually work with that coach? Right? Oh, you didn't. Okay. So, I mean, the first thing is, of course, you need to commit to it. I always tell my clients, you know what? Winning is not comfortable. When we look at the Olympic Games and they look so happy, running through the finish line, but everything that led to that stage, not comfortable. There were many mornings where they didn't want to get up and train. And many business owners don't share enough about how crappy some days are. I think if you are overwhelmed and you're feeling fear, you just have to become comfortable in sharing exactly those moments. To become vulnerable means that you're actually starting to step into your unique value proposition, because you are starting to share what others are feeling. And if you become vulnerable and you share your struggles right now alone, that already feels good. It's kind of like, poof, got that out of my system, right? That is an immense service to others, because we're all feeling it, but just not pretending that everything is good, but saying I'm really struggling with that would already be a service to others.
And then how do we help them with this anxiety, though? Because once they're in it, and I think in a lot of the spiritual teachings, we hear that if you allow the reality of it to be spoken into, like you manifest by speaking about it. So if I were to admit that I'm overwhelmed or I don't know where to start, am I not doing the opposite of what spirituality tells me? Am I not manifesting it? How do you manage that?
So you can write down all these words, anxiety, fear, overwhelm on one side. And you could even have this table on your desk. And in fact, in my books, actually, I have a table like that where I teach you to write down all these words. And then there's an arrow that kind of flips the switch from that word to something that's more positive. So you need to figure out, all right, so I feel overwhelmed. Okay. On the bright side, it means I have a lot going on. I could be bored and have nothing going on. So it's kind of nice. I have a lot of different ideas. I'm actually a creative individual. So being overwhelmed is not bad at all. Maybe I should write down all these different things that I'm thinking about. And some of those might just be overwhelming me because they are there, but they are kind of irrelevant today. Maybe they're interesting in 5 years, right? So the first thing is just getting it out of your head, whether that's writing it down, whether that's maybe verbalizing it to somebody, or whether that's just stepping away from the problem. But I think that you need to appreciate sometimes that overwhelm is also something that humans are uniquely gifted with, because it just means that your mind goes in a million directions, but you just have to think a little bit about what matters right now, today.
So what I'm hearing you say, and tell me if I'm right, the way I understand this, but you are saying it is okay to actually admit these deep fears and thoughts that you're having, even if they are appearing on the outside as negative. Get it out and then find a way to reframe that into something that has a more positive connotation. So what you said is I could be saying I'm overwhelmed, but if I look at this on paper, I can say I'm a creative. I have a lot of fabulous ideas that all deserve to be heard and brought out in the open. I'm still overwhelmed, but now I have a positive spin to it. Is this what I heard?
Mm-hmm. Completely. Yep. Flipping the switch. That's exactly it. I think that, let's just say you're walking into your kitchen, you see all these dirty dishes. All right, there's two things you could think. It's like, all I have to do, I have to clean dishes now. I'm so overwhelmed. The house looks like a mess. It's a nightmare. Or dirty dishes means you just ate something. So there was food in the fridge, right? It also means that you had dishes to begin with. That's amazing in itself. And you have a kitchen. Whoa, right? So think a little bit of like starting to break it down. Really, what's happening really is that a lot of the thoughts immediately spiral to what you see in that very moment. It's just like so bad, and we are so hard on ourselves. We need to fix it like right now. I need to get there and clean out those dirty dishes. Maybe you do, sure. But at the same time, it also is just the outcome of something that led to that. So maybe if your desk is messy, cool, but maybe that just means that you had a really busy week and it doesn't need to be all cleaned up in one day. Maybe you can talk to somebody on your phone while you're cleaning it up with your headset on. And so you're combining the beautiful message you're sharing with your friend with cleaning up the desk. And so you're flipping the switch and like, you know what? I need to clean up my desk, but let's make this a really positive experience by talking to my friend about that. And so cleaning the dishes, same thing. You could put on music. You could talk to your family in the kitchen while you do that. So it's not always just like this, oh, I have to do this. It's sometimes like, all right, so let's just kind of get it done, right? It's all right. Just getting it done doesn't necessarily have to be all that bad. It just basically means like, how can I make the best out of this right now?
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful spiritual approach to life in general, is to get away from the I have to the I have the privilege to be in a home with a kitchen with food in the refrigerator. That was an amazing meal that we have had. Now let's get everything ready for the next one. So that's a very different positive outcome. Were you always this positive, or did you have to train yourself, or did you learn that?
Yeah, and I want to add on too. So instead of saying I have to, I must, just try the word I get to.
Uh-huh.
I get to clean dishes because I own dishes and I have food in my fridge. I mean, how amazing is that, right? Was I always this positive? That's a really great question. We are uniquely gifted in certain areas. I think that it's a muscle I had to work on because it started small, coming back to my Petite Practices. And then I felt it worked and then I trained it. And now I pull it out when I need it. So it doesn't necessarily mean if you're not a positive person that you always will be this negative Nelly. It's just something you have to slowly start. And I think that the magic really starts in just starting small. Like, for instance, you could look at when you go grocery shopping, they have these little sample booths in a store. You could look at this as an opportunity. You're just sampling something and you totally might not like it. But you know what? It was free. It doesn't cost you anything to try positivity. I think it's just trying positivity. And I promise you that what you will receive will be far bigger than what you give. Far bigger. you will feel that on the worst day possible, where you're like sitting there like, I can't believe I didn't even know I have that many dishes. How my kitchen looks like is beyond. And on that day, where you maybe share a text message to a friend and that person doesn't even have to struggle, what you will get back will give you the motivation to clean up the whole thing.
Well, I certainly know what it's like to have a lot of dishes and then not have a single dish in 24 hours, right? It's certainly
exactly why I'm bringing this up, because I know what you went through. And so you totally resonate with that. Like losing everything means all of a sudden you're like, I don't even have any dishes.
That's a very, very strange feeling to be with that. But I like your idea of how to reframe by simply educating yourself in the small, petite steps in, following your system in moving forward. So for somebody who now wants to learn a little bit more about you or read one of your books, where do we send them?
Go to my website, drchristiane.com. It's all written out, drchristiane.com, all in one word. My podcast is called Happy, Healthy, Hustle, right? Because we can be hustling by being happy and staying healthy. And then, of course, my books are all available on Amazon. So grab them there. Dr. Christiane Schroeter, that's my last name. And if you have a question, reach out to me, info@drchristiane.com. I would love to help you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, it's been a delight to have you on the show and talking to you about overwhelm and positivity. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And that is it for us today. So I like the idea of taking petite steps and just get it done one small step at a time instead of trying to look at a really daunting task, break it down into small steps. And with that, I say goodbye and until next time. That's it for this episode of the Business Growth Architect Show, Founders of the Future. If you're done playing small and ready to build the future on your terms, subscribe, share, and help us reach more trailblazers like you. And if you're serious about creating, growing, and scaling a business that's aligned with who you are, schedule your Uncovery session at uncoverysession.com. Lead with vision. Move with purpose. Create your future.